As we all know, we have entered a technical recession. The difficult economic times have hit the poor and middle class hard, and thousands of people around the globe lost their jobs during this pandemic. Then inflation hit and the cost of food, gas, and even rent skyrocketed. The worst part is that few people were prepared for these events. According to Federal Reserve reports, 35% of Americans do not have enough cash or cash equivalents to cover a $400 emergency expense. That brings me to the biggest issue with most wealth advice I see online, whether on blogs or here on YouTube. While there's nothing wrong with these tips, they assume that you already have the money to invest. So today I will share some easy ways I use to build my wealth from the point of having no money. Now let's dive in. Hi, this is Mandy. Welcome back to the show. If you're new here, I'm a licensed corporate finance advisor based in Hong Kong. I work with companies listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange on the transactions like M&A and fundraising. I am also a spiritual wealth coach, and I coach high-achieving women and feminists to create more wealth for themselves than ever from a place of spirituality and self-love. On this channel, I talk about personal finance because I strongly believe in financial education, as well as entrepreneurship and self-development. If this sounds like something you would like to learn more, don't forget to subscribe to this channel by clicking here and hitting the notification bell so that you will always be notified when I upload a new video. With that said, let's continue with today's topic. The first thing you need to do is to shift your mindset before falling for any get-rich-quick schemes. I learned it early on that if I wanted to be rich, I had to block out those noises around me and take my path. Especially when there's other days when everyone just tries to sell you that get-rich-quick schemes and you can easily lose track of what truly matters. Wealthy people only make up a small fraction of the population because they think like producers, not consumers. Instead of following the herd, they make the time to find what is truly important to them and work on those things. I always remind myself to do the same in my journey, and most of the time, I take other people's advice with a grain of salt. Of course, it's always helpful to have a mentor or a coach so that you can skip some of the failures along the way. But know that you already have the answers within. And what you need to do is to be proactive in tapping into that power of yours. People like to talk about connecting to your purposes and callings, and I know they sound like fluff. However, they're legit. If you don't feel aligned with what you are doing, chances are you will be half-hearted and won't be able to make much money from it. Because after all, money is a byproduct of your labor. The second advice I have is to pick a career that doesn't equal pay to your working hours. One thing that keeps many people poor, no matter how hard they work, is exchanging hours for pay. You see, there's only a limited number of hours you can realistically work. That means there will always be a ceiling to how much you can earn. Instead, I went for a job that didn't pay me according to my hours. Good examples of careers like this include sales, real estate, content creation, investment management, or any service-based careers. The wealthy take this concept even further by using leverage. Instead of trading time for money, the rich hire people to make their money. The first thing I want you to do is to work on becoming debt-free. And I hope this advice is irrelevant to you. Debt is one of the most costly things you can own. I was in a huge amount of consumer debts before, and I know how it feels. Debt can really take away our power because of the shame and guilt that come with it. The poor and middle class use debts to buy liabilities like cars to drive or homes to live in. Since liabilities don't generate income, they end up making us poor. I discovered early on that if I want to work myself to wealth from nothing, I need a strategy to eliminate my high interest debts, and that includes personal loans as well as my credit card debts. Of course, the easiest way to get out of debt is always to live below your means and use that extra money to pay back your debts. However, I still think that debt can be beneficial, and therefore I may still take it if I want to buy some well thought out assets. The fourth advice I have for you is to get on a budget and start saving as much as you can. I wish I really started budgeting way earlier because I know that would help me save so much more money and be in a better position than I am now. Everyone wastes money at one point, and I have a good history of that. And I do think that a lot of my poor financial decisions back then was a result of my lack of self-love. You know, when you don't love yourself enough and you feel like you need to go out and buy this or that in order to look pretty and get the respect or love you deserve. If this sounds like you, know that you're already enough and you don't need to spend that extra money to get the love or respect you deserve, because you don't need to impress anyone. Because all you need to do is to really love yourself radically. And when you do that, you know that you don't need any external things to make you feel lovable. Now, going back to the topic, did you know that the average American wastes $139 every month? Some wasteful habits include throwing away food, impulsive buying, eating out, not looking for discounts, and paying for overpriced items. I know that budgeting sounds restrictive, and that's why a lot of people are not doing it. I was there before, and it also took me a long time to shift my mindset so that I can get into that habit. Now I know that budgeting is extremely helpful in ensuring that I am on track with my financial goals. With the budget, I cut out unnecessary spending and make sure I audit my expenses every month. By living frugally, or actually I would say intentionally, I am able to save more money than ever. The fifth tip I have for you is to invest immediately. I learned it early on that saving alone was not enough to create wealth for myself. Plus, keeping money in the banks means losing value with inflation. So I started exploring cheap investment options. And my favorite ones are always ETFs, exchange trade funds. And my favorite investment strategy is a get rich slow strategy, and that is DCA, dollar cost averaging. However, even before investing, the most crucial step for me is to always just save as fast and as diligently as I can. This way, I can keep my temptations at bay and start growing my wealth early. The more time your investments take, the more you build your wealth, because that's the power of compounding. The sixth idea I have for you is to start a side hustle to increase your income. Did you know that the average millionaire has 7 different streams of income? While I was earning pretty well as a corporate finance advisor, it was only after I started my side hustles that my income snowballed. Today, I'm still working on building more income streams while working comfortably in my main career. The trick is really to look for passive income streams, businesses that don't require your direct effort at all times to run. I have a video on this topic, so please check that out. My 7th idea for you is to be careful not to fall victim to lifestyle inflation. When you're making way more money than you were last year, it is easy to upgrade your lifestyle to match that money. This is known as lifestyle inflation. I was there before, and I just want to remind you that next year you will need to pay a higher amount of tax, so be careful of your expenses. I know it can take a lot in you to resist that temptation, but trust me, it's worth it. I have now managed to keep my lifestyle pretty much the same for the last few years. In particular, I do not buy designer brand names. If you see me around, I'm usually carrying my $10 canvas bag, and I think I still look good. Any extra money I make now goes to my savings and of course to repay some of the remaining consumer debts I have, and also to my investments. As you can see, becoming wealthy is possible, even if you don't have money right now. It all starts with living within your means and investing in yourself. It's all about mindset. I like to think outside the box, discipline myself, and become consistent in ensuring that I am on track with my financial goals. Now over to you. What has helped you increase your wealth? Drop your comment below and like the video while at it. For more personal finance and empowerment tips, subscribe to this channel and ring the notifications. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one.